I'm Luigi Rondanini. This is a special announcement episode, and I'm genuinely excited about what I'm sharing with you today. For those who follow this podcast, you know we explore the stories behind books, the ideas that drive them, the challenges of bringing them to life, the gap between what authors envision and what finally makes it to the page. We've talked about the craft of writing, the business of publishing, and the discipline required to transform expertise into something others can actually use. Today, I'm announcing something new, a companion podcast series called The Trading Floor, a practitioner's guide to foreign exchange markets, and the book that inspired it, FX Cash Products, Spot, Forwards, Swaps, and Non-Deliverable Forwards. Let me explain why this exists, who it's for, and why I think it matters. First, the book. FX Cash Products is the first volume in what will be a 5-book series covering foreign exchange markets comprehensively. This isn't a textbook. It's not aimed at undergraduates who need theory but have never seen a dealing screen. It's written for practitioners, corporate treasurers, FX traders, risk managers, finance professionals who operate in these markets or need to understand them at an institutional level. I wrote it with David Axtell, and that collaboration matters. David has 35 years in FX and Treasury, NatWest in London, LIFFE, 8 years in Saudi Arabia, where he ran Riyal books and helped establish IBOR fixings, Qatar National Bank, HSBC Dubai, Crown Agents Bank, building nostro networks across 120 currencies. He's traded through Asian sessions, European overlaps, and emerging market crises. He knows what actually happens when theory meets the dealing desk at 2 a.m. and your counterparty isn't answering. I bring a different perspective: treasury operations, risk management, systems integration, financial engineering. Between us, we've got over 70 years of experience across more than 60 countries. This book is the distillation of that. The structure is deliberate. 18 chapters covering everything from market foundations and spot mechanics to forward pricing, FX swaps, non-deliverable forwards, risk management, and regulatory frameworks. Each chapter builds systematically. We don't skip steps. We don't assume you already know how settlement cycles affect pricing or why cross-currency basis exists. But here's what makes it different. Real institutional examples: JP Morgan pricing, Citigroup settlement flows, ECB operations, Toyota hedging strategies. Not hypotheticals. Actual market practice. And for those who want to go deeper, there's a professional Python toolkit, production-grade implementations of spot calculations, forward pricing models, swap valuations, risk analytics, the kind of code you'd see in a bank's middle office. This isn't the only book on FX, but most FX books fall into 2 categories: academic textbooks, heavy on theory, light on application, or practitioner guides that skip the fundamentals and assume you already know how markets work. We're trying to bridge that gap, rigorous enough to be credible, practical enough to be useful on Monday morning. So why a podcast? Because a book, no matter how comprehensive, is static. You read it, you absorb the concepts, you work through the examples, but you don't hear the war stories. You don't get the texture of experience, what it actually feels like to price a 3-month NDF when the central bank just intervened, or manage settlement risk across African currencies when your nostro bank goes dark. The Trading Floor podcast is David's voice. Each episode takes a concept from the book and brings it to life with real stories, practical insights, and the kind of tacit knowledge that doesn't fit neatly into chapters. Episode 1 introduces David, explains his journey, and sets up why the podcast exists. Episode 2 dives into market structure, why FX is over the counter, why it operates 24 hours, why the dollar sits at the center of everything. From there, we'll move through spot trading, forwards, swaps, emerging markets, liquidity patterns, execution strategies. The angle is always practical application. Not here's the formula, but here's when you'd actually use it. Here's how pricing works in reality, here's what can go wrong, and here's how experienced practitioners think about it. David will host most episodes solo. I'll join occasionally to discuss the technical side, systems, pricing models, risk analytics. But the core value is his perspective, 35 years of institutional memory. The kind of knowledge that used to get passed down on trading floors through mentorship, but increasingly doesn't because people move faster, desks are leaner, and that tradition is disappearing. The podcast preserves some of that. And for people who want to go deeper, the book is there. They complement each other. Who should care about this? If you're a corporate treasurer managing FX risk, this is for you. You're dealing with hedging decisions, counterparty relationships, bank pricing that you need to verify. The book gives you the frameworks. The podcast gives you the practical judgment. If you're an FX trader early in your career, this is for you. You know how to execute. You're learning how markets move. But understanding why the market is structured the way it is, why liquidity patterns matter, why relationships affect pricing, why timing execution can save you significant money, that's the difference between executing orders and actually trading well. If you're a risk manager, asset manager, consultant, or anyone operating in or adjacent to FX markets, this is for you. Because foreign exchange touches everything. $7.5 trillion daily, the plumbing of global commerce, and most people don't understand it beyond surface level mechanics. Even if you're not directly in FX, if you're intellectually curious about how global markets actually function, not the theory in textbooks, but the messy reality of bilateral relationships, settlement risk, and central bank interventions, there's value here. We're trying to make institutional knowledge accessible without dumbing it down. This is Book 1. There are 4 more planned. Book 2 covers FX options and volatility trading, vanillas, exotics, delta hedging, volatility surfaces, the whole derivatives landscape. Book 3 is cross-currency swaps and basis trading. Book 4 focuses on emerging markets, the currencies most FX professionals never touch, but corporates and banks operating globally absolutely need to understand. Book 5 ties it all together with advanced risk management and regulatory frameworks. Each book follows the same philosophy: comprehensive coverage, institutional-grade examples, practical application, professional code implementations available separately for those who need them. We're building a complete reference library for FX practitioners. The podcast will evolve alongside the books. As we release new volumes, David will cover those topics in new seasons. This isn't a limited series, it's an ongoing resource. A word about how we're publishing this. Rondanini Publishing is my company. We're not a traditional publisher. We're not trying to distribute through bookshops or compete for shelf space. We're focused on creating high-quality professional resources and getting them directly to the people who need them. Digital first, accessible pricing, no gatekeepers. The book will be available through our platform, rondanini.com. Standard edition includes the full text. Professional edition includes the Python toolkit. We're pricing it to be accessible to individuals while still reflecting the institutional value. This isn't a $20 impulse purchase. But it's not a $300 academic text either. The podcast is free, completely free, available on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. You don't need the book to get value from the podcast. You don't need the podcast to get value from the book, but together they're more powerful than either alone. We're also exploring other formats, video versions for YouTube, supplementary materials, potentially live sessions where David and I answer questions from listeners. This is iterative. We're building as we go, responding to what people actually need. Why does this matter now? Because the gap between what gets taught in finance courses and what actually happens in markets is enormous, and that gap has consequences. Treasurers who don't understand forward pricing mechanics get exploited by banks. Traders who don't understand liquidity patterns execute poorly. Risk managers who don't understand settlement flows miss the actual risks in their portfolios. The financial industry has gotten very good at complexity. We've built intricate products, sophisticated models, elaborate regulatory frameworks, but we've gotten worse at knowledge transfer. The tacit understanding that used to flow naturally through apprenticeship and mentorship is fragmenting. People move jobs every 2 years. Trading floors shrink. The institutional memory erodes. This project is an attempt to preserve and systematize some of that knowledge, to create resources that didn't exist when David and I were learning this stuff, resources we wish we'd had, clear explanations, real examples, honest assessments of what works and what doesn't, and to do it in a way that respects practitioners' intelligence. No dumbing down, no oversimplification, but also no unnecessary jargon or gatekeeping. If you're willing to put in the work, this will meet you where you are and take you further. So that's the announcement. The Trading Floor podcast launches with episode 1 available now. Episode 2 follows this week. We'll release weekly from there. David's voice, real experience, practical knowledge about the world's largest financial market. FX Cash Products, the book, launches soon. Full details at rondanini.com/fxcash. If you want early access or updates, sign up there. And if you're already a Between the Covers listener, thank you for indulging this announcement. Regular programming resumes next episode, but I hope some of you check out The Trading Floor. It's a different kind of project, but it's built on the same philosophy: quality over quantity, depth over superficiality, respect for the audience's intelligence. If you're a corporate treasurer, an FX trader, a risk manager, or anyone who needs to understand foreign exchange markets at a professional level, this is for you. Subscribe to The Trading Floor wherever you get your podcasts, and if you want the complete foundation, get the book. I'm Luigi Rondanini. Thank you for listening to Between the Covers and Beyond, and welcome to The Trading Floor.